Emily Sanders always believed she had her life neatly planned out. At 34, she appeared to have everything a woman could wish for: stability, love, and success. She was married to David Sanders, a diligent and respected manager at a construction firm. Together, they lived in a cozy, sunlit home in Dallas, Texas, the kind of house that looked picture-perfect from the outside, a home people admired for its warmth and balance. For years, Emily thought she and David were a solid team. They had built everything together: memories, dreams, routines. But what looked strong to the world was slowly crumbling behind closed doors. The cracks were small at first, easy to ignore, hidden beneath the smiles and polite exchanges. Yet over time, those cracks deepened into quiet chasms that neither of them dared to confront. Emily was a passionate woman, someone who felt deeply, dreamed fearlessly, and cared immensely. As an interior designer, she poured her soul into transforming spaces into places of peace and beauty. Her work was her escape, her art, her way of giving love a tangible form. Every color, every fabric, every corner she designed carried a piece of her heart. David, on the other hand, had changed over the years. Once attentive and warm, he had become distant, not unkind, but unreachable. The long hours at the construction firm drained him, and the stress of constant responsibility had dulled his once lively spirit. He often came home exhausted, too tired for dinner conversations, too distracted to notice the quiet ache in his wife's eyes. Their evenings had turned into silent routines, muted television, half-eaten dinners, and unspoken thoughts filling the space between them. Weekends, once filled with laughter and plans, had become repetitive and predictable. Emily began to feel invisible in her own home, like a shadow walking through a life she used to live. Then one afternoon, everything began to shift. Emily was assigned to a major project, the renovation of a corporate office. It was an exciting opportunity, a chance to prove her creative edge. And that's when she met Michael Turner, the firm's client liaison. Michael was in his late 30s, confident, warm, and incredibly perceptive. From their first meeting, something about him felt different. He listened, truly listened, when Emily explained her design ideas. He noticed the little details others overlooked, and his attentiveness caught her off guard. He wasn't just polite, he was genuinely present. When she spoke about her creative process, he asked thoughtful questions. When she shared her vision for the project, he complimented her brilliance, her sense of harmony, her ability to turn an office into something that felt like home. At first, Emily brushed it off as simple professional courtesy. But as days turned into weeks, she found herself looking forward to their meetings. Michael's presence reminded her of something she had quietly forgotten: how it felt to be seen, appreciated, and understood. When she presented her first draft of the design, Michael looked at it for a long moment before saying softly, "You didn't just design an office, Emily. You created a place where people will want to belong." Those words hit deeper than he could have known. For years, Emily had longed to hear something like that, a recognition not just of her work, but of her soul behind it. She started to feel a spark again, not necessarily romantic, but emotional. A sense of connection, of renewal. Work became exciting again. Life began to move with a rhythm she hadn't felt in a long time. At home, David noticed the subtle changes, her brighter smile, her lightness, but never asked why. Their conversations remained short and practical. He didn't see that Emily was slowly rediscovering pieces of herself that she had buried under years of quiet loneliness. Then came a turning point, a night that changed everything. It was a rainy Thursday. The sky had turned dark early, and thunder echoed softly through the city. Emily and Michael were the last ones left in the office, finalizing project details before a big presentation. When the storm worsened, they decided to wait it out in the conference room. As the rain drummed gently against the glass, their conversation drifted beyond work. Emily found herself opening up, about her struggles balancing her career and marriage, about how distant things had become at home, and how she sometimes felt like she was fading into the background of her own life. Michael didn't interrupt. He didn't offer solutions or judgment. He simply listened, his expression kind and steady. When she finished, he said quietly, "You deserve to feel seen, Emily. Everyone does." That simple sentence broke something inside her. Tears welled in her eyes, not for him but for herself. For the years she had spent being invisible, unheard, and emotionally starved. That night, as she drove home through the rain, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she stood at a crossroads. She could continue pretending, living in the safety of silence, or she could face the truth and fight for something real. When she walked through her front door, she found David sitting in the living room, half absorbed in his laptop. For a long moment, she just watched him, the man she once adored, now a stranger she shared a house with, and then she spoke. For the first time in years, Emily told him everything: the loneliness, the frustration, the aching emptiness she had been carrying. Her words were trembling but honest. At first, David grew defensive, brushing off her pain as exaggeration. But when he looked into her tearful eyes, something in him broke too. He admitted his own fears, that he had buried himself in work not out of indifference but out of insecurity. He had been terrified of failing her, of not being enough, and somewhere along the way, he had lost her without realizing it. That conversation didn't fix everything overnight, but it opened a door that had been locked for years. In the weeks that followed, Emily and David began attending counseling together. The process was hard, filled with tears, awkward silences, and painful realizations, but slowly they began to rebuild. They learned how to listen again, how to communicate, how to reconnect. Meanwhile, Emily made a difficult but necessary choice to distance herself from Michael. Though he had reminded her what genuine empathy looked like, she knew her heart belonged in the home she was rebuilding. Months later, when the office project was finally complete, Emily stood in the middle of the bright, modern space she had designed. The sunlight poured through the windows, reflecting off the clean lines and soft tones she had chosen with care. It was beautiful. But it wasn't just the office that had transformed. She had too. Her journey had not been one of betrayal, but of rediscovery. Of courage. Of learning that love isn't just about comfort or routine. It's about choosing to fight for connection, even when it feels lost. Emily came to realize that sometimes life places certain people in your path not to stay, but to wake something within you, to remind you of what you've been missing, and to guide you toward healing. In the end, she discovered that the greatest love wasn't the one she almost found outside her marriage. It was the one she chose to rebuild within it.